Crude oil is demand is back in control. New weekly demand level around $62 has taken control over crude oil, as you can see here in the weekly time frame, and this is driving oil and gas stocks prices higher. And I'm going to explain why. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'm going to go over crude oil, Brent oil futures, and Chevron, British Petroleum, Shell, the Dutch company, Phillips 66, PSX. Probably you're going to learn a few supply and demand and price action tips. So as I said, crude oil on the weekly time frame, this is the weekly time frame, has these strong imbalance on the weekly at $62 in control. As you can see, crude oil was dropping farther and farther with bearish price action on the way down, printing new lows on the weekly, and then suddenly price rallies and breaks above these highs, okay, with two very large candlestick bodies. You can see the bullishness of these candlesticks. In that one is like about 13%, the body alone, and the other one is about 5.5%. So the strength of the impulse, I mean, this impulse over there is way stronger than any of these bearish impulses. So it is a good idea to start thinking of going long there, okay? And the bad news about this imbalance on crude oil is that even though it is great news for traders, if you are trading energy stocks, oil and gas stocks, it's bad news for your gas bill because, well, gasoline prices are going to start rallying higher, and that's not going to be good for for us, okay? As a trader, yes. For the general population, it is not. So all of these stocks that I mentioned, Chevron, Shell, Phillips 66, all of them are rallying thanks to this imbalance on the weekly time frame for the crude oil futures on CL. So once these imbalances gain control, you can't forget about the news, forget about the OPEC headlines, because that's already priced in. So it's all about supply and demand, as you can see here in the weekly time frame. When they are in charge, everything is going to change, no matter what the news and the headlines say. So let's break it down and why shorting oil and gas stocks might now be, well, financial suicide. So this is crude oil futures on the weekly. But we also have another one, which is Brent futures. When we take a look at Brent futures, we have a very similar scenario. So if I do this, let me synchronize. No, well, I'm not going to synchronize symbols. Okay, I'm going to use here Brent, and here I'm going to use crude oil. Okay, good. Okay, as you can see, both of them have they are very similar. Price action is very similar, although it varies a little bit. Okay, but it's very similar. Brent crude futures and crude oil. Okay, CL. So what happens here is that these demand level on the 65 mark and this one on the 62, both of them emerge as a reaction to a monthly supply level. So let me show you here. If we go to the monthly, and here too, on crude oil, this is a pretty solid supply level. And we also have this one over here. Okay, so what happens? Price drops, it is in a downtrend, okay? As you can see on crude oil, these lows being broken, these lows too, and we have bearish impulse, another bearish impulse, another bearish impulse. And look at the strength of this bearish pink candle. It dropped, and where did it drop? Okay, this is Brent, okay? Crude oil, and this is CL, light crude oil futures. So as you can see, it's very similar price action. And what happens? These reaction on the monthly helped Brent, crude oil, and CL to reach that weekly demand we are talking about. There and there. Okay, so these demand emerge as an attack to the strong bearish impulse that happened from the monthly time frame, and when it's reached, usually when an imbalance takes control, it takes a few candles to accumulate, and then it rallies. Sometimes it just kisses the level, as you could see on the monthly. It rallies, kisses the level, and drops strongly. Where? To the weekly demand level on Brent crude oil and CL. So once these imbalances gain control, you can start, well, trading futures, short-term, scalp, or intraday futures using smaller time frames for Brent and crude oil, or you can use option strategies, bullish ones, obviously. So reaction is already making oil and gasoline prices more and more expensive, painful for drivers. I am a driver too, probably you as well, but a gift for us traders who understand supply and demand, and why now Brent and CL are rallying due to the control of this area of demand, both areas of demand. So expectations from this, so price action should continue to react bullishness, as you can see, rallying. It's printing new highs on the weekly. So we expect price to keep on rallying until much higher. That should be some strong supply level there at the top, right there. There's still room to reach 77 area on Brent futures, and on the daily for here at about 70, more or less 69.5. That's what we are expecting, at least. Okay, so new highs are being printed on the weekly. Supply zones are being eliminated on smaller time frames. You can use a smaller time frame for intraday scalping on the way up, now that we have bullishness being built up thanks to the imbalance on the weekly. The top rectangle belongs to the monthly, okay, but we can see the monthly time frame, monthly supply levels on both oil assets, futures, seen through the weekly. So what happens is that if, usually, not always, okay, oil futures, CL, light crude oil, WTI, and Brent, they are highly correlated, gasoline prices too. And what happens is that most of the time, oil and gas stocks are also highly correlated. Not always, but almost all the time. So what happens to some of the major oil and gas stocks? For example, let's start with American CVX. So let me go back to only one. Well, no, let me do this. I'm going to use CVX here, and I'm going to Chevron, and then I'm going to put side by side British Petroleum. Okay, so what have we got here? So this is what we've got. We've got the strongest weekly supply. This one here played out. The strongest weekly supply in a long time. Okay. So we've got this one played out. This one, you might think, okay, this is going to play out. Well, but since, or given that, the weekly supply on Brent or CL is in control, usually these levels are going to be eliminated because they are highly correlated. So this is CL trying to rally, and this is going to drive prices higher and eliminate that area of supply. Almost for sure. As we can see here on BP, these British Petroleum stock on the weekly time frame, one of the top or major oil stocks. Okay, so it was eliminated, and we talked about it on Stand for Line trading community that we expected the elimination of this area, and it was eliminated, and we are expecting the elimination of that area supply too. So we have long bias with the help of Brent crude oil running futures rallying, and also light crude oil rallying. And if we take a look at other stocks, a couple more like Shell, this is a very important one. So Shell, this is what we've got. Shell has these area of supply very similar to Chevron and to Chevrons and BPs, and it has been overshot by a couple of ticks probably. If I measure the highs there by 0.03 cents, it was eliminated, and this is what we are expecting on this one. It happened already on BP, it happened on Shell by 3 cents, and we are expecting the elimination of that area supply, so you can use smaller time frames. Okay, you can see here we've got a demand level there that played out. Then we've got new bullishness, new highs on the daily, and if we go to Shell, we had probably, no, this one was not an imbalance, but that reaction was great. So waiting for new imbalances on Shell. So if we go back to our previous analysis here with Shell, let's use here PSX, Phillips 66. So what happened on Phillips 66? So we had a very similar imbalance over here, right there, on the weekly. With the help of the weekly demand level on crude oil and on the futures and Brent futures, it was eliminated. As you can see, bullish price action eliminates price retest the bullish price action, and then it rallies, creates another imbalance here. On the weekly, it tried to rally down there, to drop down there for 3 weeks during September 2025, but it just couldn't and printed a new high. And this is exactly, well, it's not happening the same. I mean, it's not the same. This level was overshot like there, but this one here at the end of August was already overshot from July. Okay, so but it's more or less the same thing. So once the Brent and crude oil futures have bigger time frame demand levels in control, usually the highly correlated oil and gas stocks like these four, there are dozens of them, supply levels are eliminated too, and new levels of demand are being created in as a consequence. Okay, so the correlation between CL and Brent is very high, as you can see on the chart, and also is the correlation with oil and gas stocks. There are many of them. Okay, so expecting price to keep on rallying on crude oil and Brent futures. So you can start using smaller time frames, as I always say, for scalping futures or intraday, futures intraday on the oil and gas stocks and futures, Brent and crude oil, WTI, whatever assets you can buy, CFDs, you can use bullish options, sell premium, whatever you want. There are many strategies that can use to take advantage of these imbalances and the highly correlated oil and gas stocks. So this video, okay, is to tell you too that it is not the time for shorts or bearish option strategies in oil and oil related stocks. Fighting against these demand levels is not a good idea. It's like trying to stop a tsunami with a bucket. It's impossible. Okay, so, and as I always say, patience pays. Wait for clean pullbacks to demand zones like this one over there, and ride the bullish impulse. If we switch to the monthly, if you are aware that the month is in a downtrend and this monthly supply level is against control, do not try to use a smaller time frame. Let's go to the 1 hour, for example, when that level gains control. Okay, so that level gains control on the monthly. It keeps on running a little bit, but then suddenly, look at that. Look at the strong impulse over there. How it dropped very strongly in just a few hours, like 10-12%. That's the bearish wick we can see on the monthly, on the 1 hour. Okay, where is this? There it is, that one over there. So if you know that you are aware of these imbalances in the bigger time frames, you should, but most traders who trade futures probably won't even look at the monthly or the weekly, so they will miss that, and they might be willing to buy intraday. Since intraday and scalping is very short term, they might play out. Obviously, if you go to the 1 hour, okay, at the time, you could have some on the way up, maybe using Bollinger Bands, some indicator oscillators. It will allow them to trade intraday for a few days, long bias, even though the monthly supply is in control, but the expectations are bearish once the monthly supply gain control on crude oil and Brent. So, well, I wish this level of demand on Brent and crude oil did not play out, because that will mean that the gasoline prices and oil prices are going to go higher, and everything in the world is going to get higher, more expensive, sorry. because of this, because we are, our world is made of oil, and all oil-related products. So if this goes higher, everything is going to be more expensive, and things are very, very expensive right now everywhere. So hopefully for traders will rally, but for the whole world, it's not a good idea. But well, this is trading, so they professional traders do not care about anything, only about making money. So it doesn't really matter the planet, but they don't give a, well, I'm not gonna say that word. So they don't give a shit about it. So unfortunately, the planet is going to stay here for millions and millions of years. This civilization, as we know, is going to change. We are not going to destroy. So all these discussions, or all these speeches from NGOs about, we are destroying the planet. No, the planet is not being destroyed. It's our current civilization. If you leave the planet a few years to cure itself, it will be new. Okay, not a few years, a few decades. So, and in a few hundred years, human being will be like, what was that? Human beings were even here. So, well, it's a pity, but this is trading and this is life. Enjoy the rest of the day. If you need anything, just contact me and I will be glad to help. Have a great day.